So what is the meaning of hire purchase system? Give cash and purchase the goods. So this is called as the actual price of the goods is called as cash price. There is an agreement between seller and purchaser. Yes. In case of sale, the ownership of the goods is transferred immediately. Hello my dear students, I am Ajayam, faculty, Department of Commerce and Management, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, MYSURU, a temple of excellence. My dear students, today's session is all about Financial Accounting 2. Under Financial Accounting 2, the unit is second unit, session is first session. Chapter name is Accounting for Hire Purchase System. The chapter heading is the Accounting for Hire Purchase System. Let's go to the first slide. So what is the meaning of hire purchase system? Hire purchase system is a system of purchase under which the possession of the goods is offered by the seller to the buyer immediately. So what do you mean by a hire purchase system? In a hire purchase system, the seller sells the goods to buyer, hire purchaser. The seller is called as hire seller, purchaser is called as hire purchaser. Here the hire seller will sell the goods to hire purchase and the goods will be transferred to the hire purchaser immediately on the same day. Next one, on the condition, there is one condition. What is that? On the condition that price of the goods should be paid by the purchaser in certain installment. You need not to pay any full amount on the same day. So you will get installment like 10 installment, 12 installment or so many years of installment they will provide. Who will provide? The hire seller will provide installment system to the hire purchaser, and the legal ownership of the goods will be passed on the hire purchaser only after the installment paid, after the full installment paid. What do you mean by that? See, the asset is transferred to the hire seller to hire purchaser, but the legal ownership cannot be transferred. When it is transferred only after the payment of full installment. Do you understand? See, hire purchase system means purchasing of goods or any articles on hire purchase system from hire seller. On what condition? Here hire purchaser has to pay the amount or the cost of the product to the hire seller with as an installment with interest, and also the possession of the goods, the legal ownership of the goods will be transferred only after the payment of all the installment with interest. So already I explained you, installment equals to principal plus interest. Installment equals to principal plus interest. Let's go to the next slide. Hire purchase is a transaction where goods are purchased and sold on the following condition. There are some conditions for selling and purchasing goods under hire purchase system. What are the conditions? Let us look at the points. Payment will be made by installment. See here, on the same day on which day you purchase the goods, you need not to pay the full amount, entire amount. So you will get, as a hire purchaser, you can get some installments. There are so many installment schemes will be there. On those schemes, they will provide installment. For example, if I purchase goods worth of rupees 10,000, I will make down payment of 2,000. Remaining 8,000 can be paid in installment. Let's see, 4 installment. Okay, I purchased, for example, mobile phone. I purchased mobile phone on hire purchase system. Okay, what is the cost price or cash price of mobile phone? 10,000 rupees. Down payment, I have to pay some amount. It may be 10% or 20% or some fixed amount will be there. As a down payment, we have to pay. So this is the down payment. I am paying 2,000 rupees. After paying 2,000 rupees, remaining amount 8,000 rupees can be paid in 4 installment. Means what? Divided by 4. Then it will be 2,000. That means every year or every month, for every installment, I have to pay 2,000 rupees as an installment. I hope you have understood. Let's go to the next point. Each installment will be treated as hire so that if default is made in the payment, the seller will be entitled to take away the goods without compensating the hire purchaser in any way. What do you mean by that? See, every installment at the end of every year, the hire purchaser has to pay the installment with interest. If in case any default or if in case the hire purchaser failed to pay any installment, he can take the action. Who can I take the action? The hire seller can repossess the goods. He can acquire the goods so that the hire seller will be entitled to take away the goods from hire purchaser without any compensation to the whatever the amount he has paid already. The hire purchaser will be kept with the hire seller only. He will not give back the amount, and it will be treated as use of goods or rent for the usage of goods. I hope you have understood. So if in case the hire purchaser did not pay any installment with interest, the hire seller will take away the goods from hire purchaser, and whatever the amount paid by the hire purchaser to hire seller and will be considered as rent. Who has paid the rent to hire seller? The hire purchaser has paid the rent to hire seller for the usage of goods, and the amount will not be payback to hire purchaser. Next point, if all the installments are paid, the goods will be treated as sold. Once the all installment is paid with interest, the goods will be sold to hire purchaser. Till then, the ownership of the goods remains with the hire seller only. Once the full installment is paid, the ownership will be transferred from hire seller to hire purchaser. The right of property of the goods passes to the hire purchaser. That's what the ownership of the goods will be transferred to hire purchaser. Next one, features. What are the features of hire purchase system? Let's see. There is an agreement between seller and purchaser. Yes. So while purchasing, for example, you will go to a Tata showroom or Bajaj showroom. There you have to sign a contract that I am purchasing this motorbike and I have paid some amount as a down payment. Remaining amount will be paid with interest as an installment. There will be contract between hire purchaser and hire seller. Next one. The possession of goods immediately possessed from the seller to the buyer only after the last installment paid. Till then, the ownership will not transfer. Once the amount is paid, full installment is paid from the hire purchaser to hire seller, the ownership will be transferred immediately. Next one, the legal ownership of the goods is passed on to the hire purchaser only after the last installment paid. That's what the legal ownership will be transferred from hire seller to hire purchaser only after payment of all installment. Next one, in this system, risk lies with the seller. In this system, for example, if in case the hire purchaser did not pay any amount, the hire seller has to bear the risk. Next one, in this system, the buyer is like bailee. What is the meaning of bailee? For example, bailee means bailer is a person who gives the goods for the usage for some purpose to bailee. Bailee is the person who takes the goods for some purpose, usage of the goods. So that's why as it is treated as a bailee, and whatever the amount paid by the hire purchaser is treated as the rent paid to hire seller. In this system, the buyer can exercise the option of return. If in case the hire purchaser could not pay the installment system, he can return the goods to hire seller. Next slide. Terms used in hire purchase transaction. What are the important keywords or key important terms? Next one. Hire purchaser. Who is the hire purchaser? Who is called as hire purchaser? He is the person who purchased goods from hire seller on hire purchase system. So this hire purchaser has to pay the amount in installment. He has to make down payment, and after the payment of down payment, remaining amount should be paid in installment with interest to hire seller. Next one. He is a person who has obtained possession of the goods. He has just obtained the possession of the goods. That's it. Not the ownership of the goods from the owner of the goods under hire purchase system. Next one, hire vendor or hire seller. Hire vendor or hire seller both are same. Next one is a person who sells goods on the basis of hire purchase system. He is a person who sells the goods on the basis of hire purchase system to hire purchaser. Cash price. What do you mean by cash price? For example, if I purchase goods or if I purchase any motorbike for 1 lakh rupees, then the 1 lakh rupees is considered as cash price. On the same day, I can make payment and purchase the product. Next one, it is the price at which goods may be purchased for cash. So I can give cash and purchase the goods. So this is called as the actual price of the goods is called as cash price. Next one, hire purchase price. What do you mean by hire purchase price? See, hire purchase price means the total amount paid by the hire purchaser to hire seller. For example, in cash price, 1 lakh rupees is the actual price. I will pay 1 lakh rupees and purchase the motorbike. This is the cash price. What is the hire purchase price? See, for 1 lakh rupees, I have to pay with interest. For every installment, I have to pay with interest. Then the hire purchase price will be more than the cash price. Though hire purchase will be more than, hire purchase price will be more than cash price, then it is called as hire purchase price. It is the total amount payable by the hire purchaser under the hire purchase agreement in order to purchase the property. It is actually cost price of the goods plus interest. Already explained you what is the cost price. 1 lakh is the cost price. If I add interest, then it will become hire purchase price. Hire purchase price. Next one, down payment. What do you mean by down payment? For example, I will go to car showroom, Tata car showroom. The car price will be 10 lakh. What is the cost price or car price is 10 lakh rupees. I will pay on the same day. I have to make some payment as a down payment. For example, 10%. What is the 10% of the 10 lakh rupees? It will become 1 lakh. So remaining 9 lakh rupees should be paid in installment. I hope you have understood. See, I go to car showroom to purchase a car. On the same day, while purchasing, I have to make some cash as a down payment. So that is called as down payment. I have to pay this amount as a deposit. This is called as down payment. The remaining amount can be paid in installment with interest. Please remember, installment equals to principal plus interest. Installment equals to principal plus interest. It is a price which is paid by the hire purchaser to the vendor at a time of agreement and taking the possession of goods. That's what I told. Purchasing a car, we have to pay some amount, some small amount as a down payment to hire seller. Next one, who is hirer? Hirer is called as hire purchaser. The hirer is a person who obtains possession of the goods. Who obtains the possession of the goods? The hire purchaser will obtains the possession of the goods from the hire vendor or hire seller under hire purchase system. So who is the hirer? Hire purchaser is also called as hirer. Next one. So what is the difference between hire purchase system and sales? This is one of the very important question. Usually they will ask for 5 marks or 10 marks in the examination. So what is the difference between or distinguish between hire purchase system and sales? Let's see. In hire purchase system, the hire purchase governed by the hire purchaser. There is an act to regulate hire purchase system. So which act it is? Hire Purchase Act 1972. This act will regulate the hire purchase system. In case of hire purchase, the ownership of the goods transferred to buyer after the payment of all installment. After the payment of all installment. Only after payment of all installment. But in sales, on the same day, the ownership will be transferred because we will make full 100% cash payment to the seller. So, but here in hire purchase system, we will not give all the amount. Only we will give down payment. The remaining amount should be paid in installment. Next one, payment is made in installment. On the same day, when we purchasing, we will not give 100% amount. We will pay in the installment basis. Next one, the hire purchase paid for the price of the goods and also some amount of interest. The hire purchaser has to pay the amount with interest only. He cannot pay only cash price or cost price. He has to pay some interest also as an installment. On the non-payment of installment, the seller can repossess the goods. If hire purchaser did not pay any amount or any installment, the hire seller will repossess the goods from hire purchaser or take away the goods from hire purchaser. Let's go to the next slide. So this is the difference between hire purchase system and sales. Let's go to the sales. See, in sales, a sale governed by Sale of Goods Act 1930. Here in hire purchase system, it is governed by Act 1972. But in sales system, Sale of Goods Act 1930. In case of sale, the ownership of the goods is transferred immediately. But in hire purchase system, only after the payment of full installment, the ownership of the goods will transfer. But in sale, on the same day, when you purchase the goods, the ownership will be transferred because you make full payment. Next one, the buyer make the payment in lump sum. The buyer make the payment in lump sum. There, in installment, he will pay only down payment. Hire purchaser will pay only down payment, remaining amount in installment. The seller or the purchaser will make the full amount as payment and he will get the ownership of the goods. Next one, the buyer pays only after the price of goods. The buyer only pay for the price of goods. We will not give any interest to the seller because he is paying full amount. That's why he need not to pay any interest. Because next one, on the non-payment of consideration, the seller cannot take back the goods but can only take legal action. See, in hire purchase system, if in case the hire purchase did not pay the amount, he will repossess the goods. The hire seller will repossess the goods. But in this sale system, the seller cannot repossess the goods. He can only go to the court and file a case against the purchaser. So my dear students, in next session, we will do journal entries in the books of hire purchaser and look at the format in the next session. Till then, thank you so much.